This presentation explores the characteristics of community colleges and their students. Let's take a look at urbanicity of community colleges. Urbanicity means, are these colleges located in an urban area, a city, in a suburban area, in a town, or rural? And here you can see a comparison of the community college to public four-year and private not-for-profit four-year. While the public four-year and private four-year are located primarily in the cities, notice that the community college is basically even between city and rural area, with a little fewer offered in the suburban or town areas. With regards to the estimated number of students enrolled in each state's community colleges, notice that we have 2 states with 500,000 or more students, and then the rest of the students are rather spread out. Even so, North Carolina seems to be one of the forefronts, with anywhere from 200,000 to 499,000. There are currently 986 public community colleges, 115 independent, 31 tribal, and this results in 1,132 total. Notice that the numbers change as community colleges either morph into four-year institutions, some other institutions become community colleges, new community colleges are open. So this number is a very flexible number. With regards to associate degrees, again, the majority of the associate degrees are awarded by two-year public community colleges. But notice the private not-for-profit two-year also offer associate's degrees, as well as the private for-profit and some four-year institutions. With regards to enrollment, as of fall 2009, 44% of all U.S. undergraduates were attending the community college. This was 43% of first-time freshmen. 54% of Native Americans were attending community college, as compared to 51% Hispanic, 45% Asian Pacific Islander, and 44% Black. 60% of the students were part-time, with full-time equaling 12 or more credit hours. More information on student demographics. Notice that there's a higher percentage of women attending community colleges than men. The average age tends to be 28. Then we have information regarding ethnicity. Also, 42% are first generation to attend college, 13% are single parents, 6% are non-U.S. citizens, 3% veterans, 12% are students with disabilities. And again, this was as of 2009. Let's look a little at enrollment data and do some comparison. Again, these numbers go from 2009, which are the most current. And what I have here is the information for nationally, and then we're going to take a look at how North Carolina compares to the national numbers. When we look at enrollment by attendance status, full-time, part-time, notice that it's still pretty comparable as far as the relationship. There's still more part-time than full-time, and the percentages look similar. So this is a comparison of North Carolina to national stats. When we look at enrollment by attendance status, as far as full-time and part-time, now notice again 59% part-time with the nation, 59% part-time with North Carolina. So again, we're pretty much reflecting the nation's numbers. A little bit of change when we look at this by gender. Notice that nationally we have 59% of the students attending community colleges are female, and that's slightly higher here in North Carolina with 63%. When we look at enrollment by ethnicity, again, the Black non-Hispanic is 13% nationally, and it's 24% here in North Carolina. With regards to associate degrees, again, the majority of the associate degrees are awarded by two-year. Asian Pacific Islanders, 6% nationally compared to 2% in North Carolina. And then with Hispanic, 15% nationally compared to only 3% in North Carolina. So you can see where we compare and differ with the national stats. As of fall 2009, 21% of full-time community college students were also employed full-time. So that means we have students taking 12 credit hours or more, and they're working at least a 40-hour work week in addition to the 12 credit hours or more. 59% of our full-time students were employed part-time. 40% of part-time students were employed part-time. 47% of part-time students were employed part-time. The tuition at a community college is typically far less than that of a public four-year institution. For example, the average annual tuition at public community colleges is right around $3,000, and that's about a third of the tuition for a public four-year institution. The percent of students who receive any sort of aid to attend a community college is 46%. 21% receive some sort of federal grant assistance. 10% receive federal loans. 13% receive state aid. 11% receive some sort of institutional aid. 32% receive financial aid, such as Pell Grants, and 10% receive some type of campus-based aid. With regards to associate degrees, again, the majority of the associate degrees are awarded by two-year public community colleges. But notice the private not-for-profit two-year also offer associate's degrees, as well as the private for-profit and some four-year institutions. Some of you may not be aware of this, but community colleges are beginning to offer on-campus housing. Currently, 254 public community colleges offer some type of on-campus housing, often for traditional age students. They could be for returning students. Sometimes this is set aside for student athletes. 62% of independent colleges offer on-campus housing. In North Carolina, according to College Express, Lewisburg College is the only community college to offer on-campus housing. With regards to governance, there are more than 600 boards of trustees nationally, and this amounts to 6,000 board members. 29 states have local boards for their form of governance. 16 states use a state board. 4 states use a combination of local and state boards. Chances are, if you go to see a doctor or you check in at the hospital, you are going to be taken care of by a healthcare worker who was educated at a community college. Approximately 15% of all international students, or right around 100,000 students, attend community colleges, and this has been on a steady increase. 95% of the businesses and organizations who have employed community college graduates have recommended community college workforce education and training programs. All of this puts community colleges at the forefront of education. Close to 80% of firefighters, law enforcement officers, and EMTs are credentialed at community colleges. The 5 hottest community college programs are registered nursing, law enforcement, close to 80% law enforcement officers, and computer technologies. The average expected lifetime earners for a graduate with an associate's degree are $1.6 million, about $500,000 more than a high school graduate earns. So education and training do pay off. This concludes a presentation on characteristics of community colleges and their students.